All right, hey guys, it's me back with another one. This is number 6 of 15. Let's just jump right in because some of these are starting to just like I think we're starting to hit that stride that these were always intended to be, where they're just the actual joke stories, right? So let's get into it. 14 and 0, he shouts about the football game that I couldn't possibly give less fucks about. Okay, that's being a little harsh since it's the playoffs, but I only do Super Bowl for commercials, beer, and nachos. Pretzels if you got 'em. Who's playing? Well, and the halftime show, of course. But yeah, and I love Zells. Zells with mustard, big Zells, thick Zells, little twists, sticks, sewer grates. You know, the ones that are shaped like squares with the hashes, whatever. Why do pretzels come in so many shapes? I don't know. I don't care. I just want them dipped in mustard. Okay. Who's playing? I asked, trying to be cordial. New England, he shouts over the sound of rushing water in the sink. And New England. Okay. Patriots and I beg as he turns around from the sink. Are they playing against themselves? He blinks at me, then gets a little excited. No, Kansas City, for who goes to the playoffs for the Super Bowl? He finally elaborates without batting another eyelash. Ignorance is bliss, I guess. Ignorance is bliss. The other night we were watching American Gangster, which is set in the 70s in case you've never seen it. There's a segue in the movie during which they play some really funky music, and I was sitting there grooving along to it. He looks over at me, and after a beat, he asks, "What are you listening to?" I couldn't help but laugh. The music in the movie, I answered with an unforgiving fucking dumbass tone and voice. Oh, he deadpans, completely unfazed by the utter ridiculousness that his inability to take his disabilities into account before opening his mouth. Actually, if you pointed out to him that he can't hear, he will insist that he can hear everything perfectly fine. All evidence to the contrary. That counts as another disability, right? So, like, for someone who's constantly insisting that I pay attention to the movie or constantly is trying to talk about the movie, the one time I'm paying attention to the movie and grooving along with the music in the damn movie that he'll insist he can hear, he fucking asks what I'm listening to? God, Jesus Christ. There's a great song from the 90s by the artist Gillette called Mr. Personnel. Oh, God, I remember writing this. I think this was one of those itches I had to scratch. I had to do it. I'm going to warn before. This is so fucking mean. This is so mean. And I don't care because I had to do it. I had to. In it, she describes a man who is incredibly physically unattractive through witty yo mama style jokes. The hook, they call you Mr. Personality because you're so ugly, is screamed in a tone that indicates that the real problem with the guy isn't necessarily how physically unattractive he is, it's that he has no idea. Right? So they call you Mr. Personality because you're so ugly. Okay. I could never ever get to a point where I felt I could actually do Gillette's voice and sing slash rap along with her without sounding completely fucking terrible. I don't like, and I'm really surprised that she never got more popular than she did, but she could literally like hard rock, scream, sing, rap. I don't know how else to describe it. But just the tone and like the timbre of her voice, where it was so great, and she was so pretty, and her songs were so fun. I mean, they still are, they still exist. Anyway, her two albums were what Shake Your Money Maker and On the Attack, and I love them both, and I still listen to them to this day. And yeah, like I said, I don't know why she didn't get more popular than she ever did. Most people will know her biggest hit was Short Short Man. So you're like, don't want no short man. Don't want no short man. Okay, that and what? Underwater Boogie. No, not Underwater Boogie. What's the one? Whatever. Anyway, Mr. Personality actually has a music video. That's too. So if you go on YouTube and look it up, there's actually like a video to watch. Based on the imagery in the music video, he is quite vain. See, Jesus, I'm right on my pulse, right? I am right there. All right. Anyway, Based on the imagery and the music video, he's quite vain, as though he's the hottest dude alive, but he also doesn't understand the sarcasm behind being called Mr. Personality. If he had anything going for him at all, it would be his personality, but that sucks too. That's him, to a T. The guy in the video is even styled like him. It's sort of uncanny. Yeah, it's a little weird. I didn't know where else to work in this detail, and some of you may be wondering why I'm including it at all. A person's perception of another person's looks is affected by the way that they experience their personality as well. There's a saying, it's a shame you can't eat your makeup so you can be pretty on the inside too. That comes to mind. I looked up to greet I looked up to greet him this morning as I was chilling in bed with my coffee and YouTube and realized that I find him repulsive. I immediately wondered if part of the reason I'm so irritated by his attempts to draw attention to himself is the fact that he's difficult to look at. I mean all of this in a very strong, strict, literal sense. By the time I was getting to a point that I was going to be able to be getting out of there, I was struggling to be able to make eye contact with him because he actually made me retch, like throw up in my mouth a little bit. So that it literally got hard to look at him because I was finding him so repulsive because of every aspect of him as a human being. As much as people don't like to admit it, physical appearance has a real, marked impact on the way that you interact with the world and vice versa. It's a fact that people feel more confident when they are dressed well, and no one watches pornos starring ugly people. Insofar as it's also a fact that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, what's at stake here is the fact that I find him repulsive, right? So this whole idea, like, oh my god, but there's somebody who's not like, it doesn't matter. What's important is like this is my fucking journal, right? This is my struggle bus, okay? And I'm driving it. So fucking sit down or get off. I don't, whatever. The easiest and most accurate way to describe him in all sorts of ways, not just looks, is that he's Gargamel from the Smurfs. Give this man a black smock and an orange cat toy on Halloween, and he might actually be popular for a night. Jesus, that's rough. There was another moment that fits in with this theme as well. He was telling me about something that had happened, or talking about football games or something. The point is that I was doing my best to make it clear that I was preoccupied and completely uninterested. When he stopped talking, and I could see out of the corner of my eye that he was just staring at me, waiting for me to stop what I was doing to look at him. When I did, I recognized the look on his face as a sort of painful disappointment. He felt neglected. But at the same time, in that moment, I also noticed that I'm just not interested in gazing upon him. It's not just the lack of interest in what he's saying that makes me wary of it, makes me wary of engaging with him. It's having to look at him in general. The combination of the content of his communications with his appalling looks makes his constant attempts at attention almost unbearable. It's like Gary trying to make everyone look at the creatures in Bird Box. This whole situation makes me feel like pitching myself out the window, and there are times that I get the distinct impression that he's actually trying to kill me. I mean that in the just kidding, but seriously sense that lies somewhere between tongue in cheek and downright suspicious, right? Like almost like he's trying to get me to pop off and scream at him or tell him like fuck off, nobody likes you, you know what I mean? Like, and of course I'm not going to do that, but like I said, there was just always kind of this sense of like he's pushing my buttons on purpose, and not just because he gets a kick out of irritating people, like he's after something for some reason. Speaking of suspicious, he used to show up at my job all the time when I worked at the Safeway Starbucks because it's literally right across the street from the apartment building where we live. I was working with Kristen one day when he came in, and I introduced them to each other. He had probably come by to ask which bottle of wine I wanted, but I don't remember exactly. He stopped briefly and then left to go on about his business. It was Christmas time, and Safeway's holiday display is right in front of the Starbucks. I think I told this story before because something made me think of it. That year, they had Huffy bicycles for sale, and they were lined up in a row directly behind the row of our merchandise in the kiosk. As I'm working, a few moments later, I hear Kristen giggling, so I look over and ask her what's so funny. She pointed towards the bikes, and I saw him standing there staring at him with his head cocked to the side as though he was examining the strangest thing he had ever seen. Kristen made a semi-snarky remark about how ridiculous he looked, and we had a good laugh together. Now, here's what you need to understand to really put this into perspective. Kristen is a middle-aged woman who has two daughters that are about my age. She lives alone in a modest apartment with her cat and is a choir singing, church going, function attending, super nice, decent lady who you would never suspect in a million years would so unapologetically point and laugh at someone in public, much less while at work. Okay, that's what, like I said, literally, she goes to church every Sunday. She sings in their choir and goes to choir practice on Wednesdays. Has two daughters, one of them that was my age, no grandchildren yet, but she's old enough to be my mother, and she was always very demure. There we go. Let's use a popular phrase, right? That that for her to actually laugh and then point out and just be like, he looks so ridiculous right now. What the fuck is he doing? Right? It's extremely telling. All right. So, all right, good. Another Tuesday. Okay, good. So we're moving right along. I'm gonna just keep on cruising. In the next episode, I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.